You live, and then you die.
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well do some cool shit in between, you know? I actually am pretty sure I'm undefeated in Battle of the Band. Played at Pizza Shop, a lot of charity events. I think that people are kind of afraid to talk about death. I think I'm actually talking about less about death and more about life. Man, if someone had access to my notes section, they would think I'm absolutely insane.
Hi, and this is Lauren Engel of Sidewalk. Talk to them here with Alexander, 23.
What up?
So you're originally born in Chicago, or?
What, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess who else?
Yeah.
I was born in Chicago.
Are your parents originally from Chicago?
Yes, they both grew up in Chicago.
Oh, what do they do?
My dad is a lawyer, and my mom has a custom apparel business, which actually, coincidentally, I'm wearing the merch.
Oh, really?
I make my merch with my mom.
No
which is
way.
cool.
Well,
It's
who else
super
does
fun.
she make clothes for?
She does it for local businesses around where I grew up.
Yeah.
But it's been really fun doing with her, and we talk a lot.
I guess it's a family business now, the merch.
Yeah, it is.
Everyone's
No, it's a
involved.
blast. It's really fun.
So where do you think you got your creative side from her?
My dad is the reason I started playing guitar. He played a little bit, and I saw him playing. I was like, oh, that looks cool. I want to try that.
But didn't you not like it?
I hated it the
Yeah.
first time. So that's wow. You did your research. That's good. So I hated it when I was 7 years old, and then I started again when I was 8, and I was like, no, this is cool. I want to.
Because of John Mayer.
But yeah, well, that's kind of how I learned to play, was just learning songs that I loved.
What kind of music were your parents playing in the house when you were growing up?
It was kind of a little bit of everything. I mean, once I started playing guitar, I started listening to a lot of singer-songwriter stuff like John Mayer, but my dad was super into just anything that was kind of rock and roll. And then also a lot of progressive rock, like Supertramp or Genesis or Yes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely eclectic.
And you were really into sports back then, right? Like baseball, basketball.
Yeah. If there was a sport, I definitely played it, or at least tried it. And then I played basketball throughout growing up.
Were
and
you really
still play.
competitive? You must have been if you did for all those years.
Yeah. I would hope so. I just sucked for the first 18 years of my life and then called it quits. I played just through high school. I didn't play in college though.
I guess that took up all your time then with the training and everything.
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, but I always knew that I wasn't going to play professional basketball, but I knew that if I worked hard enough, I could be a professional musician. So that's where I'm at now. I'm doing this because I couldn't play pro basketball. It's the only reason.
How would you describe yourself back then growing up?
Pretty quiet, I think. Just kind of reserved. I don't know. I didn't play video games. Just kind of my guitar was my video games. The way some kids sit by themselves and play video games.
Yeah.
That was what guitar was to me. And I would just sit for hours and kind of practice and write songs. And I've probably written a million horrible songs. And then one day they started not being horrible.
Did you do well in school, or?
Yeah, I definitely did well. I liked school a lot.
That's so rare. You're probably the first musician I've interviewed
Really?
who said that.
No,
yeah.
I like school. I like learning. I enjoyed that stuff. And if I wasn't doing music, I would have been happy to, kind of finish school and do something like that. But
You think it was from your parents that they made you, or you wanted to do well academically?
it was definitely a little bit of both. I enjoyed math and science and stuff like that and reading, so that was part of it. But they definitely pushed me to work hard in school, and it was definitely important in my house growing up.
What career at that point did you think you would have?
Well, I went to college in Philly for mechanical engineering, and so I thought that I was gonna be a mechanical engineer. And then
What made you wanted to do engineering?
I just loved it's kind of the same way with music, which is why I learned how to produce music. Just the freedom of learning how to make something from scratch. And now what I do is I make songs from scratch, but I wanted to be able to make objects from scratch completely by myself. And in high school I built an electric guitar by myself, and that's kind of what triggered that desire to become a mechanical engineer, which did not happen.
What made you wanted to go to Penn instead of go to some art school?
I always wanted to do music, like I said, but it never felt super realistic. And so I thought about taking time off after high school to try and get something going, but it just felt so far away. So I was like, I'll just go to school and at least learn something I'm interested in academically, while I kind of figure out how to make music a career.
What age were you when you started being in bands?
Oh man, like as soon as I started playing guitar. I remember my first gig was in my elementary school lunch. During lunch, we played, their lunch was like in the gym, and like we played on like the stage in the gym, and no one sang. We all played our instruments sitting down. It was like, we just didn't know like what anything was yet, and we were just excited to play in front of our friends, and they all clapped, and like from that moment on, I was just like, oh, this feels good. Like if I could just keep recreating this, I'll be happy forever.
Were you also already singing back then?
Yeah, definitely. But I wasn't good enough to sing and play at the same time yet. So since I can remember, I've been kind of just like singing in various forms.
Were you also in like Battle of the Bands or any of the performances?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, that was your thing.
I actually am pretty sure I'm undefeated in Battle of the Bands. I
No
don't think
way.
I've ever lost one. I'm serious.
Wow.
I mean, I haven't that. Don't take that as if like I've done like 1,000 of them. I've probably only done like 4 or 5 in my life, but
Yeah.
it's still pretty good.
Yeah. Were you? Where else were you performing back in the day with your bands?
Like any place that would have us. Played at Pizza Shop, a lot of charity events, which is cool. I like doing that a lot. And then as I got older, I started like playing some shows by myself, and I would like play at bars in high school, but I was obviously under 21, so my parents would have to come with me. so I would like play like 3-hour shows at bars, which is horrible. For anyone who's ever played bars, they know what I mean, because it's just like, it is really exhausting, and people do not care that you're there. You're just like background music. My parents would be like sitting in the back of the bar while I'm playing, because they had to have a chaperone.
Yeah. Was it original music or mostly covers?
It was a mix. It was definitely a mix.
Oh wow.
I realized pretty early on that like my dream wasn't to like just be the best guitar player ever. That it was like to write songs, and that's what I cared about. So I didn't like stop practicing guitar, but like that became the focus of what I wanted to get better at and what I was working on.
How much music were you able to do when you were at college?
A good amount. When you don't go to class, you have a lot more time for music. So.
Oh, you were actively skipping a lot?
What? No. I mean, yes. Yes and no. I don't know. I realized that that's what I wanted to do, and so I was putting a lot of effort into that.
But did your parents know like you were skipping class?
No, I mean that makes it sound like I was like skipping class. They're good because they're gonna watch this too.
Oh my gosh.
But no, it was. Let's say a healthy balance. I wasn't going to every class.
So you were still like getting the grades, so they didn't really care.
Yeah, the grades were fine. There was no cause for.
But it never occurred to you to drop out.
Well, I did drop out.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, after my freshman year.
Oh.
Yeah. So I made it through a year. It was a fun year. But,
what was the turning point?
I played in a band, and actually with Andrew, my manager, who's walking awkwardly about 15 feet ahead of us right now for you guys. And we started touring like the fall that would have been my sophomore year, and so it was kind of just like a choice. Like I could either like pursue this and try and make this my life, or just kind of stay in school and do that whole thing. And I was like, how could I, this is what I've always wanted. So we called it a leave of absence at the time, even though I knew it was rough.
What did your parents think?
They were super supportive.
Oh, wow.
Like they obviously weren't just like go, they were like asking me questions, but they were super supportive. They knew that that's what I wanted to do with my life, and they've been so supportive of music like all throughout growing up that it was like, how are they gonna now when something was real and happening be like, no, don't do it.
Right after you dropped out, did you have any mentors or anyone in music that you could ask for advice?
Totally. So the band I was playing in worked with a lot of talented people, and I don't know about anyone like in particular, but just the access that I then had to just like amazing songwriters and producers who I would relentlessly ask a million questions like, how do I do this, how do I do that, was incredible. And that's kind of what shaped like my like production skill level and like comfort writing by myself.
And then how long were you in the band? Oh, were you living in New York at that point?
Yeah, so we were living in New York. And we did that for probably like 3 years then.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Taught me a lot.
And then what clicked you to start your own solo project?
So when the band ended about like a year and a half ago, at first I was just like writing and producing for other people in the studio, not making my own music. And then I'd say probably like 6 months ago, I just kind of like, I hit a wall, and I was just like, I love making music with other people for other people, but I really need to spend some time and make my own music for me. And so it was kind of just like all in one day. I just called everyone I knew. I was like, this is what I'm doing now.
Did you have to find a job or something?
Luckily, I did not.
Damn, that's good.
Yeah, which was great because I signed a publishing deal, and so I had enough money to eat and have a place to live, which was
That
great.
happened so quickly.
Well, I was in a band and we like had, like things were happening with that. So when I decided to originally just like start writing and producing for other people, everyone was super supportive, and they kind of kept the dream alive long enough until it started working at a kind of bigger capacity.
What was it like going from just like writing music in your own bedroom to being put in sessions and learning how to make songs with other people?
It was interesting. It's kind of like it didn't come totally natural to me, and I think it doesn't come natural to a lot of people, because you're so used to like being the president of your song, and like then when you start working with people, it's like a lot more collaboration, which inevitably comes with compromise, which is not always a bad thing. But I think the best part of collaboration is kind of like learning things about how you like to write songs, and like I've just picked up so many individual things from different people, and that's kind of what's formed like my songwriting sensibilities and what I like and what I don't like. You know?
When did you start picking up producing?
In high school, I was always like doing stuff, but it wasn't like super serious, and like it wasn't good. Like I wasn't very good. And then probably like 3 or 4 years ago, I started to get pretty serious about it because, like I was talking about, the freedom of just like being able to make something by myself from scratch and not needing other people to like completely see through a song.
How did your deal come about?
So we were published by Sony for the band I was in, and then when the band ended, they were just super supportive of me.
Did you already have songs to show them or proof of what you can do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at that point, I'd been like just making music outside the band just for fun. Mostly it's just like another outlet. But I guess they showed enough promise to be worth it for them to continue their kind of like, I feel like investment, just like is such a harsh word, but I guess that's what it is.
Are you able to say like the people you've produced for or wrote for?
Yeah, I mean it's not like a super like crazy list of people. Most of it is just like kind of up and coming artists in New York that I was kind of coming up with at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like who?
A friend of mine, Sam Seton. I have a song coming out tomorrow with a girl named Maud Latour.
Oh, nice.
A song coming out soon with an artist named AJ Mitchell.
Oh yeah, I interviewed him. I'm like, wait, yeah, of course.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
He's so nice.
Yeah, he's the man. I love AJ. A bunch more. It's funny. It's like when someone asks you like, what have you been listening to lately?
I know.
And you're just like, oh boy, I listen to music 18 hours a day, and I just can't remember. Can't think of one name right now. But yeah, I've been lucky enough to work with a lot of people who I think are incredible, which is always cool.
Do you still do that, like balance your writing for other people and yourself, or not just?
Much less now. It's definitely something I still do and like to do. But it's definitely not my focus right now. But it's nice because it kind of like resets my own brain in a way. So then when I go to like write by myself, for me, it's like sometimes I need to get out there and like collaborate with someone for something else.
And what made you want to get a record deal so quickly? Like, how long have you been putting out music before you were approaching labels?
So I had not put out any songs before I signed, which is funny because the original idea was like, we don't need a label, let's just do it ourselves. When I say let's, I mean me and my
and then now
manager.
You're like label ASAP.
And then I don't know, it's just like they totally understood like my dream and the way I wanted to do things and my style of writing and everything from the jump so much that I was like, like this immediate added value is worth it for me personally. And like, I think people often, I'm not like pro label or anti label, but I think people often like box that kind of stuff into like one person. Like people will see Chance and they'll be like, oh, like, well, no one should do a deal. It's like, well, that's not true. Maybe he's the exception, not the rule, But for me, it just made sense. I have a great team and everyone's super cool with kind of like doing things my way, which is
I feel like you have
which is
everything
great.
already figured out. That's the difference. Or like that, or like
You
your
mean-
style of music
Well, yeah, I mean,
and
but yeah, no, I mean,
your
I've went
brand.
through enough in like the past 5 years, like life-wise and musically, where it's
Yeah.
like I know what I like and what I don't like, and I know how I want to sound, and I know
Yeah,
how I want things to
exactly.
look, and I make most of the visual stuff myself, or at least with someone, you know. So I just kind of needed help, and I think another thing a label brings is like immediate, like international help, because like as just a kid in LA, like, you know, how do I get my music outside of this country, you know? And it's like, well, there are people that's job is to help you do that.
Yeah. And how did you realize Interscope's the right fit?
Kind of from the jump, it just felt super like authentic. The relationship felt authentic and right. And we met with a bunch of people, and there's so many awesome people on that side of things, but no one felt more like they just immediately understood exactly what I wanted to do more than them. So just felt like the right fit.
And then what was the turning point when you realized that you needed or wanted to make the move to LA?
I kind of just wanted to like separate the eras of my life in a way. And so I think physical location is a huge part of like how you act and how you feel.
Yeah.
And so I just needed something different. And there's obviously an enormous, fruitful music community out here. So it just made sense professionally and mentally and emotionally and everything else. Ali.
Were you surprised that right after your first song it already kind of got so big?
I don't even, like, it doesn't feel like, I don't know how to put this. Like, my goals are so lofty that it's like I don't even really ever think about, like, if something's doing well, because it's not doing well in comparison to what I want. You know, I feel like the goalposts almost, like, always move. And so it's like by the time I achieve something that was a goal a month ago, I'm already like, well, I want this now. Which I constantly have to kind of, like, remind myself, like, sometimes you just gotta appreciate certain things. Like, I just got like a new studio, and if you would have told me like 2 years ago that I would be putting out my own music and have my own place to work, you know, like,
Yeah.
that's not like a bedroom or my friend's mom's garage, like, I would be stoked. And now it's like, well, I want this, you know, so just a balance.
For your song Dirty Air Force Ones, does the person know that's about them?
Yes. Yes, they do.
Like, I guess they already like heard it, or did he show it to that person like when you were still writing it?
Yeah, definitely. But that song, I mean, like, the process of writing that song was very, very quick. It wasn't like a drawn out process where I'm like laboring over it and sending them demos and stuff like that. Like, it happened, you know, some songs take like months to like pull out of the air and be like, okay, like, how do I make this song? And then sometimes it just
Huge
happens in a few
trash
hours, and that was one of those.
How do you realize that was the right song, or the right song that you wanted it to be your first song?
It just was kind of like, I think the song that is most uniquely me. Like, I can't hear anyone else singing that song. And so as far as just like, people extrapolate so much when you have one thing out, you know, one song or one video, or like if someone directs their first movie, they think like, oh, that's everything about that person. I know that from this song. So knowing that, I was like, well, I want to put out a song where if people assume that about me, they're right, you know? And so if you listen to Dirty Air Force Ones, that is me. That's my production style. That's my writing voice. That's what I sound like, you know? So.
And what was your inspiration for your music videos?
I just wanted something super, super simple and super powerful that kind of told the story in a way where it wasn't like, you know, a girl on a plane, like actually physically doing all these things, but I still wanted to tell the story of the song. So I think we kind of found the balance between like that narrative thing and still something that's like super visually special.
Do you have movie inspirations for it, or inspirations outside of musicians for your music videos?
Not really.
Not really.
I'm not like a huge movie person. Movies for me, I think I see movies in a similar way as a lot of people, I think, listen to music, where it's like, it can be a passive thing for me. It's something where I'm not like like when I listen to a song, I'm like super like listening to one thing at a time. Like, I can't like listen to the whole thing as a song. It's very difficult for me because every day like I make songs part by part by part and like build it that way. So it's hard for me to just listen to a song and hear just the whole song. Like, if I listen to a new song, I'll have to listen to it 5 times before I could even tell you if I really like it, because it's just, there's too much going on for me. But movies, I can sit down and just like watch a movie, and all I see is that movie. And I'm not like, some of my friends after will be like, I didn't like that one shot, like they could have done that. I'm like, I don't even think about that stuff. I could not even imagine, like, I just take it exactly how it is.
And why did you want to talk about death in your second song?
I think that people are kind of afraid to talk about death in the way, at least the way I see that song, in a more like positive way. And like, I think I'm actually talking about less about death and more about life.
Was there like a specific moment that triggered you to write that song?
Not really. I think like in the last few years in general, people have been a little bit more like open about death, and I just kind of wanted to like put my own spin on that because I think about it a lot.
In terms of what?
Well, I just think that people so often say like life is too short or this or that, and it's like, man, like maybe it's not, you know? Like maybe we're just like spending our time wrong, and like when I die, I want people to like think that I was a nice guy and did a lot of cool stuff, and like it's fine, you know? You live and then you die. So you might as well do some cool shit in between, you know?
You answered the last question that I usually ask people, is like, what do you want to be remembered for?
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, I already answered.
Just a cool dude who did some cool shit and was nice to people.
What's your inspiration for your merch?
I love doing like graphic design stuff.
Oh, do you design it all yourself?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
all the merch, all the album art.
That means you can do everything.
Yeah, which is cool too, because like I never get like bored or like frustrated with one thing, because if I do, I'll just switch. You know, if I like I'm working on a song all day and I just can't get that last like line or something like that, I'll just like, okay, like let me make a new t-shirt, just clear my brain.
Did you teach yourself all that, like Photoshop?
Yeah, I mean, I use the term teach myself loosely because I guess that is true, but like I watch YouTube tutorials.
Yeah.
Is that like teaching yourself?
Yeah, it is, because no one's helping you. Well, I guess.
But they are helping. I mean, like someone is teaching me. I am not like just struggling through Adobe Illustrator, like fucking it up until I figure out how to do it.
That's true.
But no one is there physically teaching me. I didn't take a class or anything like that, you know, like. But see, yes, I taught myself. Loose definition of teach.
And what made you want to put out merch so soon?
I love clothes, like, and I was like, well, this is a perfect platform for me to design my own clothes. I like actually have a reason, you know, rather than just being like, hey, everyone, buy my t-shirt for no reason that I made, you know, like.
And you actually made it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you locked into like rainbow as your like branding, or? Not
necessarily. I love colors.
Same.
I think a lot of people right now are like super like minimal and.
Actually, we're pretty matching.
Yeah, that is true. I like that shirt. I've used it before. But there's definitely a trend of like minimal and muted stuff right now, and it's like, well, what about bright colors? You know, like they deserve some love too.
And what plans do you have for the rest of the year? Can you say like EP or? You probably definitely have an EP. It's like.
Well, I have enough songs for a double album. That's not the question. It's like how to best kind of like deploy like the songs I have and the songs I care about, while simultaneously, you know, I'm writing new stuff every day that I love. So there's no like concrete plans yet as to like how to fully put it out, but just what I can promise and what is important to me is just like consistently putting out something all the time, you know. And every song will have a music video, every song will have a lyric video, every song will have an acoustic video, you know, and like just like kind of living in that song for like 5 weeks and then moving on to something else.
How would you say your music has changed compared to the early songs you made?
It's actually a good question, because like after tour I kind of went back to the studio and it like intangibly felt a little different. I don't really know. I think I'm just production wise I like doing different stuff, because I think that my just voice as a songwriter will kind of be like the consistent thread, and it kind of allows me to take different, I don't know about risks, but diversify like the arrangements that is around the songwriting. And I think the way the music has changed is not like any like new like production style or anything that's totally different. It's kind of just like getting more and more comfortable within my own voice.
And how did the tour with Alec Benjamin come about?
We had a lot of mutual friends, and it kind of just came together. I don't really know. Like,
did you already know about him from a long time ago?
Yeah, I mean, I was a fan of his music for a while before that. And so when I got the call, they were like, "Hey, you're going." I was like, "What? I don't even have a song out yet." You know, like at the time, I didn't have a song out when I found out.
What were you performing on of then?
Well, by the time the tour started, Dirty Air Force Ones was out. So then I played that and just
Lots of covers?
7 other, no, just unreleased songs.
Oh.
But the cool thing was his fans were so awesome, and they wanted to like me, they wanted me to do well, and they wanted to be a fan. So
Yeah.
like they were, rather than being like, well, I don't know any of these songs, so I hate this sucks. They were like, well, like, hold on, let me give this guy a try, because if I like it, then I found a new artist I can listen to, and that's cool because I love music. And so as like a performer, especially doing my first tour by myself, it was like the perfect audience because they were just like, you know, like they wanted it to go well for me, you know?
That's so good, because I remember I actually videoed him performing, and all the comments are extremely positive, so I know what you mean about his audience.
Yeah, they're so cool. Like they love music just like I do, and so as long as I don't go up there and like suck and be mean, you know, like they're gonna give me a shot. You know, and then it's up to them to decide if they want to, you know, actually be a fan.
What was it like going from performing as a group to solo? Like, did you realize the difference a lot?
Definitely, it's a lot different. It's definitely a lot different. Yeah, in a lot of ways, like the lows are lower and the highs are higher.
Interesting.
You know, like if I mess up, it is like only me that messed up, and it couldn't be confused as like a group error. There's no like, it's like very clear, like, oh, this guy, he fucked up, and I know that because he's the only one on stage. You know? But like the rewarding feeling of being up there like by myself and doing something awesome and everyone going crazy is like, oh, I did that completely by myself. It's one, you know, like, but
I guess like, even though you're starting as a kind of a new artist, you already have all this experience of being on stage, so actually it comes really easy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing shows on stage since I was like 8 or 9 years old, so it's like, it's not something I'm like nervous, and I rehearse a lot, so it's like, this is gonna go how it's gonna go, you know. I've done everything I can, you know, like, and so I just kind of enjoy it, you know. It's kind of like, that's the rewarding part, like you just like spend so many hours in the studio and so many hours rehearsing and so many hours doing meetings and thinking about, you know, how do I do this and what should we do for this music video, and then like by the time you're on stage it should just be like the icing, like this is just the fun, the easy part, you know, like this is what I do.
How would you say you've grown as a person compared to when you were younger?
How have I grown as a person? That's a deep one. This one's hitting me hard. I don't want to give just a bullshit answer, so I'm gonna think for like a second.
Nice, I like that.
Yeah. I think that, and this is not to say that I was inconsiderate as a kid, but I think that I am more considerate now because of things that have happened in my life that have kind of made me more often think like what is happening in other people's lives. And like, so like now if like someone honks at me on the road and like speeds by me, my first thought isn't like, well, fucking asshole. It's like, shit, like I wonder, you know, hopefully something bad didn't happen to someone in their family where they're like rushing to get somewhere. So I think that's been the biggest change I've seen in myself in like the last, you know, 6 years.
What would you say have been your biggest challenge in your life so far?
Trying to do something creative, and this sounds like I'm so lucky to be able to do this every day. Like I wouldn't trade it for the world, but doing something creatively professionally can be extremely challenging and disheartening. And it's hard to find barometers for your success that aren't. It's just hard in general to find barometers for like how you're doing, you know. And I think it's dangerous to start like comparing yourself against people in your peer group or that are doing better or worse, and so it's hard to remind yourself that kind of everyone's journey is a little bit different.
Is that something you're actively aware of, like when you compare yourself into dial back?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good at catching myself pretty early on that stuff, but it still inevitably happens, you know. You'll see someone else that's just like feels like an alternate universe version of you that's doing better or something, and you're just like, man, I wish I was, you know. I still feel that every time I go to a concert. I'm just like, man, like I am having trouble enjoying this because I'm like watching someone else live my dreams, you know. And it's such a stupid, like shitty feeling, but it's unavoidable in a lot of ways.
What kind of advice do you have for someone who always like compares with other people and it's difficult for them to get out of it?
I think what I just tell myself is just like, you don't like know them, you know, like you don't know like what they did to get there or who they are or who they came from or why it's working, or you also don't know if it's going to keep working for them, and all you can control is what you're doing. And so focus on that, because everything else is going to happen regardless of whether you like it or not, you know.
Last question, what does love mean to you?
What does love mean to me?
Yeah.
Love is the only thing that matters. So I was actually thinking about this a lot recently, and I was trying to write a song about it, but it just sounded corny in the song. So maybe I'll find a way to say it right now that's not corny. It was some line like, I almost want to like pull out my phone and look it up.
Yeah, you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Some unreleased lyrics.
Unreleased lyrics that might never be released. Man, if someone had access to my notes section, they would think I'm absolutely insane. Something like, if the square root of happy isn't money and isn't fame, then all you're worth is the love to your name. Just like I identify as a person by the people who I love and the people that love me. And so that's why I said like love is everything. Like it's like that is who you are as a person more than anything else, is like who you love and who loves you.
Yeah.
You know?
I love
everything
that.
else is like fine, you know, like who cares about everything else? Like that's all that really matters. So
I'm gonna start thinking more about that lyric when I get home. I love that though. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was great.